get served up Melchizedek today. That's a jawbreaker. But we're always learning things, aren't we? Just before Teresa and I and my family left Michigan, my friend Brian Coleman gave me an opportunity to preach to the congregation that raised me up. It was a valuable lesson full of practical advice, some of his deep memory of preaching in Los Angeles, and some hard-earned experience. He looked at me and he said, "You got about 7 minutes. If you can't get it done then, start over. You need a hook." But probably the most important thing he said to me was, remember who you're preaching to. They raised you up. They wiped your nose. And they taught you the Bible. I think he could tell that I was anxious, so he kind of put his arm around me and looked me straight in the eye with this sort of wicked smile and said, "They'll be merciful." Seeing that I wasn't convinced, he asked me to sort of go over what I was going to say that day. And after listening patiently to what I had written, his critique came by way of a single sentence. "Nick, folks are here to see Jesus. They already know you." I can't tell you how his observation continues to shape me. He said, when you climb these steps right here, something happens between God and God's people. We know, just as they do, that we are not Jesus and we will never be. But we have seen Jesus and they know it. And some of them know that we see Jesus in them. In this life, one thing is certain. You will be loved like you've never been loved before. And in your vocation, you will be judged like you've never been judged before. And the truth is, you don't deserve either. Finding Jesus happens a lot for me these days. And part of it is being part of a community that looks for Jesus in each other and finds Jesus in other people. And finding Jesus, I've learned, is just as important as letting Jesus show. Whether that run-in happens over a Caesar salad at the Painted Horse, before swim practice, packing up your best friend's house before she moves south, sitting on the back porch and listening to how a friendship has deepened and grown over 50 years, or eating good barbecue in Dewey. The fact remains the same, that wherever 2 or 3 are gathered together, Jesus is there. Or so the prayer tells us. Jesus is present even in moments when we try to hold too much. When we try to love like him, drawing everything into ourselves. For drawing everything in means everything. And sometimes we learn the hard way. But knowing Jesus in community means that you've got people when that happens. I've seen Jesus in a listening ear, in a caregiver's heart, in a nurse, a pop who loves trains, and a son who knows that the quickest way to find yourself is to get lost. I've seen Jesus at the food bank next to a young girl who chose to power wash sidewalks on her spring break instead of going out with her friends, and in the smile of a man who's attended the same Bible study at Sterling's for I don't know how many years. Jesus is at work in the hands that tend his altar and in the prayers for who will lead the guild next. I've seen the spirit of the risen Christ in Bartlesville Public Library teaching ESL, bearing witness to the work of single moms, honoring the love of widows, and a vase of daffodils. And I've even seen Jesus take a drag off a cigar down at Platinum. Jesus is around because you are around. The locus of these encounters will always be in community where love at times is fragile. And if COVID has taught us anything, it is that the boundaries of this community is far greater than what we have had imagined. But just this week, I watched as a group of men gathered in that chapel to say morning prayer, and two of them, two big gentlemen, held this little iPhone with their friend in it, and they placed him on the altar so that he could see everybody praying with him. If that is not, I love you, I've got you, when you're living in Tulsa and I'm up here, then I don't know what is. The challenge, though, the flip side, the rub, the road, is that as beautiful as these moments, as beautiful as these encounters are, they are shaped by impermanence and imperfection. And bearing witness to the edge of hasty remarks, cheap shots, misunderstandings, broken trust, and hurt, even loss, goes hand in hand with community too. The fact that Jesus' soul is troubled sometimes shouldn't escape us. Real encounters such as these go way beyond the pragmatism that this church espouses to possess. And perhaps more so, it means that Jesus is present here too. Jesus is present because grace is the face that love wears when it meets our imperfection. And we choose this community because it holds us up. And we want our discipleship to matter. And we know deep down that the decision to believe ultimately means that we become partners in relationship, for the good or for the bad. And whether the events of this hour are cross or passion, or beginning or ending, we would see Jesus. The question has always been, do we have faith enough to look for him? So, my friends, let Jesus show.